Hello, most beautiful stars. Peace unto you wherever you are and whenever you're catching this video. So, there is going to be another video in the description that was from our last Friday shows, and it's the 2025 5D checklist. So, that is below, and this kind of goes in the same theme of where are you at with yourself. Today, we are definitely going to be in the Nag Hammadi scriptures. Fascinating stuff to be read today. If this video is quite meaty for you, quite packed full of stuff, you can always pause, go back, listen to it a few times, because we're going to cover a lot of ground here. I am Courtney, host of Stars of the Morning Light. So welcome in. It is pre-recorded. I am not lived, but that is because I am a busy, busy girl. So, beloveds, many of us kind of know the story of Sophia and how she created the chaos that we live in, the ruler of this world as of right now, out of pure desire. And this is why desire is kind of tricky. That's why on the levels of consciousness chart, it is sandwiched between fear, anger, pride. Desire is there because it comes out of all of that fear, anger, pride, right? So she created chaos. And then of course she was um displaced into the underworld. And now we talk often about the rise of Sophia, the wisdom. So if you don't know that story, try to look it up. There's so much stuff on there about that because this is kind of, okay, what happened next? What's really going on? Sophia? Who is this Sophia? What really happened with her? What's this chaos? What's going on? That's where we are today. And then we're going to read some more stuff as to what the Christ consciousness said to Thomas and a little bit from John. We are in the Nag Hammadi scriptures. So I'm going to dig in, folks. Um, and I'm going to do my best, beloveds, with my new glasses that are a little tricky to use. I'm not used to bifocals. So I appreciate all of your patience. We are in the Nag Hammadi, and this is the chapter that is on the origin of the world. This is the prologue in the beginning. Since everyone, both gods of the world and people, says that nothing existed before chaos, I shall prove that they are wrong, because they do not know the origin of chaos or its root. Here is the proof. Although certainty, people in general are inclined to say that chaos is darkness. In actuality, chaos comes from a shadow, and it is a shadow that has been called darkness. The shadow comes from something that has existed from the beginning. So it is obvious that something in the beginning existed before chaos came into being, and chaos came after what was in the beginning. Let us consider the facts of the matter, and particularly what was in the beginning from which chaos came. In this way will the truth be clearly demonstrated. Then it moves into origin of Sophia and the powers of the world. After the world of immortals was brought to completion out of the infinite, a being with this likeness called Sophia flowed from Pius, or Pistis. It could be Pistis or Pius, but it's usually Pistis, which just means faith and truth, right? This being expressed was its wish that it come to resemble the first light, and at once its wish appeared as a heavenly likeness with an incomprehensible greatness. So Sophia wished to be like the first light. This being came to be between the immortals and what came after them, like what is above. And Sophia served as a veil separating humanity from the things above. So Sophia became a veil separating humanity from the things above. Now, they are referencing humanity as the immortals at this time. Immortals were brought to completion out of the infinite. This being came to be between the immortals and that and what came after them. The eon of truth has no shadow within it, because infinite light shines everywhere within it. There is a shadow, however, outside it, and the shadow has been called darkness. From the shadow appeared a power set over the darkness, and the powers that came afterward called the shadow limitless chaos. Now we're getting into more understanding as to what happened with Sophia, Yaldabaoth, chaos. What's really going on here. So, beloved, humans were immortal. Humanity, as they said. This all happened afterwards. From it, every sort of deity emerged, one after another, along with the whole world. So the shadow came after something that existed in the beginning, and then it became visible. The abyss also came from Pistis, whom we have mentioned. The shadow sensed that there was one stronger than it. It was jealous. And when it became pregnant by itself, all of a sudden it gave birth to envy. Since then, the principle of envy has appeared in all the eons and their worlds. So envy is everywhere. But but envy turned out to be an aborted fetus without any spirit in it. And it came into being as a shadow in the expanse of the watery substance. Bitter wrath came into being from the shadow and was cast into the region of chaos. Okay. Okay, beloveds. I told you this was going to be kind of heavy. So, we have pistis or pietist, depending on who you talk to. Okay. That is before Sophia. That is before uh Yaldabaoth chaos. That is before all this stuff. Okay. Then Sophia creates Yaldabaoth, the chaos, out of her desire. That is what I referenced to before, that most of us know that part of the story. Then chaos, that is its own shadow that we refer to as darkness, but it's just a shadow. It then started creating. It created its first three sons. It created the seven heavens. Yeah, we'll get into it. It started creating and it finished in its way that it said, kind of finished our world because it became ruler of this, even though the earth was already here. Even though immortals, humanity, as they are interchangeable in this part of the scriptures, were already here and complete. When chaos was able to start birthing all this stuff itself, like envy, that has actually no true essence of spirit, but is ugh, just energy, that is now circulating not through just our world, all of the worlds. And then came rage, right? Oh, bitter wrath. Same difference, folks. Bitter wrath that it says came into being really based out of the envy, right? It's envy that causes the bitter wrath. Bitter wrath came into being from the shadow and was cast into the region of chaos. So now chaos has this bitter wrath that is also within it. hmm This is all still just a shadow. This is not darkness. Since that day, watery substance has been visible. What lurked in the shadow flowed out and appeared in chaos. Just as all the afterbirth of a woman who gives birth to a baby flows out, so also the matter that came into being from the shadow was cast out. Matter did not come out of chaos. It was in chaos, in the region of chaos. So when they're talking about this watery substance, Hermetics talks about this, right? The Nag Hammadi actually talks about this. Think of it really as the waters of creation. In all of creation, you have all. You have the envy, the bitter wrath, the chaos, the order, the balance, the purity, the light. You have it all. It's creation. And it is like the living waters, as so many different scriptures talk about. That is where we create. This is where Hermetics will talk about the moist. They love that word moist. The moist substance, they're talking about the living waters. Within that, and I did a whole series about chaos and balance or chaos and order. How no matter if we are seeing nothing but chaos, because that is the third dimensional living experience, even fifth in a lot of ways, no matter if we're seeing that, we can train our eyes and our minds and our hearts to actually witness the order that is also present within the chaos. So that is what is being represented here, that all is present. And also the humanity that is also the immortals. Then this goes, the next part is the appearance of Yaldabaoth. After these things happened, Pistis came and appeared over chaotic matter, which had been expelled like an aborted fetus, without any spirit in it. For chaos is all limitless darkness and unfathomable water. When Pistis saw what came into being from her deficiency, she was disturbed, and her disturbance appeared as something frightful, and it fled to her in the chaos. She turned to it and blew into its face in the abyss, blew all of the heavens, or sorry, the abyss below all the heavens. When Pistis Sophia wanted to cause this thing with no spirit to be made into a likeness of a divine and rule over matter and all its powers, for the first time an archon appeared out of the waters, lion-like in appearance, androgynous, with great authority in himself, but ignorant of where he came from. Now, beloveds, before I continue, I am titling this video Fire versus Flame, Sophia versus Sophia, you versus you. So, this is where things get tricky, is because we just learned Pistis and Sophia, are they one and the same? Soon we're going to realize or read that Yaldabaoth was created by Sophia, but then created Sophia as his daughter. This is so in the most common way that I want to kind of present this to you because it starts moving, right? Is Yaldabaoth its own special entity? Is it that grand archon that looks like a lion, very authoritative, very powerful, but ignorant? What is all this? It's all in the same, really. The most easiest way I can throw it at you, right? Is think about when we talk about the student becomes the master, or even in our own life, the child ends up caring for the parent, things like that. Like we kind of switch roles. We all start switching roles at times and switching our energy and moving and growing and shifting. And that's what's going on here. So, Pistis, who gave Sophia her light, because Sophia wanted to be absolutely like the first light, you could say source, right? You could say the ultimate, right? The ultimate God, the Almighty. Sophia wanted to be that. And Pistis said, yes, go for it. You're great. You can be the wisdom that is all over this earth. Then, out of her desire, as Sophia asked, quote unquote, the fire, can I give birth? Because I want to create a being that is of this divine light. And the father said no. But out of her pure desire, she created Yaldabaoth, which then becomes this horrible, chaotic, crazy shadow. And out of that shadow now is like, okay, now there's an abyss. Now there's all these seventh heavens that are not really heavens. Then there's the underworld. All this stuff is being done. Then Sophia, because Pistis, who feels as if we are one and the same, Sophia, we are of the same light. You done messed up, which means I messed up because we're all connected. We are all one. Um, Now you got to go down and be kind of locked up for a while. And hence why, again, we're at the rise of Sophia. I'm going to continue, folks. So please kind of keep that in your mind. As in, when things start becoming like, whoa, they just called them of the same name. Or how does Sophia create Yaldabaoth, but then Yaldabaoth creates a daughter named Sophia? We do see that here. We do see how this can happen. It just is in maybe lesser context, but it's all the same how things operate. When Pistis Sophia wanted to cause this thing with no spirit to be made into a likeness of the divine and rule over matter and all its powers, for the first time an archon appeared out of the waters, lion-like in appearance, androgynous, with great authority in himself, but ignorant of where he came from. When Pistis Sophia saw him moving in the depth of the waters, she said to him, young man, move over here, which is the meaning of Yaldabaoth. Since then, the faculty of speech has come to expression, and the faculty of speech pertains to the gods, angels, and people. The gods, angels, and people have brought to completion what has come into being by means of the word. Very simple. When people say claim it, call it into being, well, there you go. That's how that then became so powerful. Is Sophia is looking and saying, "Oh my gosh, what did I do?" And she says, "Hey, young man, child that I created, you scary, ignorant fool. Um, Come here. I claim you. Come here. Come to me. There you go. Because it then just said that we kept using that technique. We kept using that power. Hence why my teacher would say, when something's going on in your world, what in me invites this to be? How did you call it in? Because everything in creation is that. And it said, from the gods, the angels, to the people, have brought to completion what has come into being by means of the word. The ruler, Yaldabaoth, is ignorant of the power of Pistis. He did not see her face, but in the water he saw the likeness that spoke to him. And from that voice he called himself Yaldabaoth. Those who are perfect call him Ariel, because he is like a lion. After Yaldabaoth assumed authority over matter, Pistis Sophia withdrew up to her light. Now there's another section here. Yaldabaoth creates heaven and earth and produces suns. I'm going to probably skip through this. Um, so he creates three suns, okay? Then he creates seven heavens, all right? Seven heavens of chaos. Seven heavens of chaos. Beloveds, please take this in. Please take this in. We're not going to go into the details because I got to keep moving on to some other stuff. But in your own reference of what you know. And Sophia was the last of of those heavens. So it's as if as if his mother then became his heaven that he thinks that he created because he's ignorant. But because all is connected, she kind of was. We continue. These are the seven powers of the seven heavens of chaos. The powers were androgynous in accordance with the immortal partner that existed before them and the will of Pistis, so that the likeness of what was from the beginning might have power to the end. The word is mighty. You will find the fraction. Okay, sorry, I'm moving on. Okay. Then it tells you where you can find more material. Since the chief creator, Yaldabaoth, had great authorities at his disposal, he created beautiful heavens by means of the word, as dwelling places for each of his sons, and in each heaven he created great glories, seven times glories. Each son has within his heaven throne mansions, temples, chariots, virgin spirits, which is its own form of the living waters of creation, but not the authentic. And their glories extending up to the invisible realm, as well as armies of divine, lordly, angelic, archangel powers, myriads without number, so they might serve. Everything was completed in this way up to the sixth heaven, the heaven of Sophia. So through the six into the seven, because remember, she's the seventh. So everything from the heavens up to and through the six, except the seventh, which is Sophia, Beloveds who have been with stars of morning light for a long time, think of your levels of consciousness chart. Think of the dimensional living experiences that we talk about all the time. This heaven and earth were disrupted by the troublemaker who was beneath them all. The six heavens shook, for the powers of chaos did not know who had disrupted the heaven beneath them. When Pistis found out about the harm caused by the troublemaker, she blew her breath and she bound him and cast him down to Tartarus. Since then, heaven and earth have established themselves through Sophia, who is the daughter of Yeldabaoth and is beneath them all. Okay. Sophia creates Yeldabaoth. Yeldabaoth then is able to create the seventh heaven, Sophia, but all the heavens between it are under his rule, everything. Pistis sees what's going on. Oh my goodness, there's chaos everywhere. And through that is when we get the fall of Sophia, but yet still present in the seventh, which is truly leading all the other heavens dimensions. I know, folks, it's a lot to take in. It's kind of hard to conceptualize. I understand that. So, think of it as maybe, and this is just coming to me, like the fall of grace of us, apparently, right? Our sin. Imagine that the seventh dimensional living experience, as we talk a lot about here, is that grand wisdom, awareness that anything above that is gravy. You don't even have to consider going above that. That is the Christ conscious here in a body of form when he came. Seven, not five. So everything below seven, including the third dimensional living experience that you were sharing with others here on Earth, is mostly full of chaos, but yet the thing that oversees it is wisdom. And this is why I talk so much about no, no, no. You might only see nothing but chaos, but open your eyes. There is order, there is truth, there is balance. Open your eyes because she is present. But at the same time, Pistis was like, this is way crazy. This is very crazy, and I am connected to all of this. So, Sophia, your full glory, your fullness is now going to fall and be actually trapped for quite a long time because, well, forgiveness needs to be present. Things need to happen before you can ascend. Let's look at this, folks. And this is why I'm saying, beloveds, please, please, please listen to this a few times. And I have tons of material on this stuff. Um, so search out the playlist. Now we're moving to the Book of Thomas. I just needed to have that kind of backstory there for a minute because we talk so much about the rise of Sophia. It is to have the completion of the seventh within all of the heavens. Hmm. How's that feel? How's that feel? So when we read this section in the Book of Thomas, I would like to invite everyone that when Christ, because it's Christ speaking here, when Christ says the word perfect, I invite everyone to maybe frame that out as in awareness or wisdom. Hence, having the seventh dimensional energy, wisdom, awareness, truth, trust, love, to be present when Christ says perfect, because that is the full completion to dissolve and live outside of the shadow of chaos. So we then go to the book of Thomas. And I do love the book of Thomas. I will say that. All right, the book of Thomas. The hidden sayings that the Savior spoke to Judas Thomas, which I, Matthias, in turn recorded. I was walking, listening to them speak with each other. Jesus speaks to Brother Thomas. The Savior said, Brother Thomas, while you are still in the world, listen to me, and I shall reveal to you what you have thought about in your heart. Since it is said that you are my twin and true friend, examine yourself and understand who you are, how you exist, and how you will come to be. Since you are to be called my brother, it is not fitting for you to be ignorant of yourself. And I know that you have understood, for already you have understood that I am the knowledge of truth. So while you are walking with me, though you do not lack understanding, already you have obtained knowledge, and you will be called one who knows himself. For those who have not known themselves have known nothing. For those who have known themselves already have acquired knowledge about the depth of the all. So then, my brother Thomas, you have seen what is hidden from people, what they stumble against in their ignorance. Beloveds, I might read that again. This is Christ walking with Thomas, saying, Hey, you are referred to as my twin, my brother. I am as you are. You are as I am. You have understanding and knowledge because you know yourself. And if you know yourself, you know the all. I am as you are. You are as I am. Mm. To know thyself is to know the all. The next is the hidden and the visible. Thomas said to the master, That is why I beg to you to tell me what I ask before your ascension. When I hear from you about what is hidden, I can speak of it, and it is clear to me that the truth is difficult to accomplish before people. The Savior answered and said, If what is visible to you is obscure to you, how can you comprehend what is invisible? Beloveds, this is when we get into the illusion of the illusion of the illusion. I'm going to read that again. That is how he answered. The Savior answered and said, What is visible to you is obscure to you. How can you comprehend what is invisible? If deeds of truth visible in the world are, if deeds of truth visible in the world are difficult for you to accomplish, how will you accomplish things of the exalted mastery and fullness which are invisible? How will you be called workers? You are beginners and have not attained the greatness of perfection, awareness, wisdom. Thomas answered and said to the Savior, tell us about these things that you are saying are invisible and hidden from us. The Savior said, all bodies have come into being in the same irrational way that animals are produced, and so they are visible as creatures lusting after creatures. Talking about these beautiful meat suits, beloveds. Those that are above, however, do not exist like those that are visible. Rather, they live from their own root, and their corpse nourish them. But the visible bodies feed on the creatures that are like them, and so the bodies are subject to change. Whatever is subject to change will perish and be lost, and henceforth has no hope of life, because this body is an animal body. Just as animal body perishes, these models forms also will perish. They are not from sexual intercourse like the animal, or sorry, they are not like sexual intercourse like from the animals. If the body too is from intercourse, how will it give birth to anything different from them? So then you are children until you are perfect. These bodies, we see them as they function just like any other animal. They are mammal in likeness, in sight, in scene, in operation, how we think of it as in science. What he's talking about here is those who obtain higher consciousness can change these bodies of form and feed off the root of who they are, talking this body, changing this body, having this body become immortal, as we just learned the original humans were before chaos. There was this earth, there was humanity. That is those who feed off of the root of who they are in that perfection of the grand awareness of the wisdom, of the knowing thyself. Everybody else, though, we're told and we just accept that we're animals, that we're mammals, and we reproduce and eat, and we even feed on the things Christ just said, we even feed on the things that are of likeness of us, which we do. Hmm. Hmm. So when that perishes, there's no real hope. This is why um, mm, I think, beloveds, you understand where I'm going with that. You can have, you can have that immortality. You can have the the perfection. You can have that grand ascended master Christ consciousness within this body of form. That is one of the reasons why he came. One of the reasons why other masters were present to demonstrate to us that these bodies of form that are very closely related to the original bodies of form when we were all masters, that they are capable of sustaining that kind of nutrient, which this is where people would refer to as light energy, right? It is capable of sustaining that kind of nutrient, its own nutrient, have its own abilities, live all of it, experience authentic life because you know yourself. That is the root that he is talking about. It is within these bodies of form. But because we're so programmed to think that we are just science and we are mammals and there's not much that is different between us and a barn animal, um, come on now. Thomas answered, "This is why I say to you, Master, those who speak out what is invisible and difficult to explain are like people who shoot their arrows at a target during the night. Of course, they shoot their arrows as any people do, since they are shooting at the target, but it is not visible. When light comes, however, and banishes darkness, then the accomplishment of each person will be clear. And you, our light, bring enlightenment, Master." So, all that we are programmed to think throughout all the chaos that is, and the envy, and the bitter wrath, all of that, right? All of that, who Yaldabaoth, by the way, is very reportedly saying, out of his ignorance, he said, "I am God, and there is no other God before me." And I think we have heard that in many contexts. Throughout all that, we are fed, like I said, these perceptions to the best of our abilities within the programming, within the 3D density that tells us about our bodies, tells us about who we are, tells us about what we're capable and not capable of. It's like shooting arrows in a target, towards a target in the dark, because we are in the fog, we're in the forgetfulness, we're in the shadow. So everybody's just those who are saying this is how the world works, from science to economics to social to all of it, shooting arrows in the shadows. Remember who you are. Jesus said, "This is through light that light exists." Thomas spoke and said, "Master, why does this visible light that shines for people rise and set?" The Savior said, "Blessed Thomas, surely this visible light has shone for you not to keep you here, but that you might leave. And when all the chosen ones lay down their animal nature, this light will withdraw up to its being, and its being will welcome and its being will welcome into itself, because the light is a good helper." I'm going to keep going, folks. The Savior continued and said, "O unsearchable love of light, O bitterness of the fire, you blaze in the bodies of people and in the marrow of their bones, blazing in them night and day, burning their limbs and making their minds drunk and their souls deranged. You dominate males and females day and night. You move and arouse them secretly and visibly. When the males are aroused, they are attracted to the females, and the females to the males. This is why it is said that everyone who seeks truth from true wisdom will fashion wings to fly, fleeing from the passion that burns human spirits. And one will fashion wings to flee from every visible spirit. So one of the reasons why I wanted to entitle this Sophia versus Sophia, fire versus flame, you versus you. Please, beloved, think about what he said, right? He started with, "Oh, unsearchable love of light," but then jumps into, "Oh, bitterness of fire." So first he's trying to talk to the light, like, oh, you beautiful light. It's so hard for these humans to find you, even though you are within them. Let me talk about this fire that gets in the way of your flame. Tricky. So, fire, by definition, is actual burning of something. The actual burning. The burning of your fears, your envy, your bitter wrath, your desire, your pride, your anger, the burning of stuff. Now, your flame, you beautiful star, is the glow of a fire, right? Is the glow of a fire. Meaning, in this context, when he's saying, when he starts, the Savior continued and said, O unsearchable love of light. They can't see their authentic real light that is the root of them. That is that wisdom of know thyself. Because actually, the fire of consumption, they can't see their light. That beautiful flame that glows like the sun, that glows like a star, because of the fire that is very occupied, very consuming, very talked to and fed here where we live. We can't see our own light because of the fire. Hmm. Some call it the God spark. I actually call it a flame because I think we're bigger than a spark. I think we are complete suns. I think we are complete stars. I think we're way bigger than a spark. But the problem is, as Christ just said, oh, unsearchable love of light. They're not finding you because of bitterness of your fire, because of your blaze in the bodies of people and the marrow of their bones, blazing in them night and day, burning their limbs and making their minds drunk and their souls deranged. So, same as Sophia's versus Sophia. Sophia, who is of the original first light, great divine, creates the chaos, but then becomes the daughter of the chaos, who is above and below. Mm. To the light, the God spark, the flame within you, you beautiful immortal being in this body, the same flame has caused this fire, vice versa, but it is being used to burn up our limbs, have us use our word to create so much more chaos, to have us lustful, prideful, envious, all of it. Consume, consume, bitter, bitter, bitter. Fascinating, isn't it? Starts with the light, but because of the density of 3D, it becomes that burning, consuming fire. Hmm. How do we get it back to just being that beautiful light that we are, so we can be the light of the world? So we can be that presence that Christ consciousness had, that Buddha continuously was saying is the way, the presence of the light. here. It's a lot to overcome, it's a lot to think about. This, beloveds, is from the secret book of John. And I'm just going to read the sentences that come before this, or at the very end of one, because you're all going to love it. And then we're going to go into the hymn of the Savior. I'm going to read the last couple of sentences, though, of where this is coming from. The angels took women, and from the darkness they produced children similar to their spirit. They closed their minds and became stubborn through the stubbornness of the contemporary spirit until the present day. I think we all know what was talked about there. The angels, the angels that were born out of the six heavens from their original archon, Yaldabaoth, who were like, "Hey, ladies, I'm gonna make me some children." Because all of the stubbornness in the shadow, in the fog, we can do whatever we want because the fire tells us we can. Because it is in proper use to the original flame of the great source that we had. Had, I say, because let's return. Let's get into the hymn of the Savior. And this is the last little bit. Now I, the perfect forethought of the all, transformed myself into my offspring. I existed first and went down every path. Say this. I am the abundance of light. I am the remembrance of fullness. I have traveled in the realm of great darkness and continued until I entered the mist of the prison. The foundations of chaos shook. Sorry. And I hid from them because of their evil, and they did not recognize me. Again I returned the second time and went on. I had come from the inhabitants of light, and the remembrance of forethought. I entered the mist of darkness and the bowels of the underworld, turning to my task. The foundations of chaos shook as though to fall upon those who dwelled in chaos and destroy them. Again, I hurried back to the root of my light, so they might not be destroyed before their time. Again, a third time I went forth. I am the light dwelling in light. I am the remembrance of forethought, so that I might enter the mist of the darkness and the bowels of the underworld. I brightened my face with light from the consumption of their realm and entered the mist of their prison. And this is the prison of the body. I said, let whoever hears arise from the deep sleep. A person wept and shed tears, bitter tears. The person wiped away, and said, who is calling my name? From where has my hope come as I dwell in the bondage of prison? I said, I am the forethought of pure light. I am the thought of the Virgin Spirit who rises you to a place of honor. Arise, remember that you have heard and traced your root, which is I, the compassionate. Guard yourself against the angels of misery, the demons of chaos, and all who entrap you. And beware of the deep sleep and the trap in the bowels of the underworld. I rise and sealed the person in luminous water with 5 seals. that death might not prevail over the person from that moment on. This is the conclusion. Look, now I shall ascend to the perfect realm. I have finished everything for you in your hearing. I have told you everything for you to record and communicate secretly to your spiritual friends. And this is the mystery of the unshakable generation. The Savior communicated this to John for him to record and safeguard. He said to him, "Cursed be anyone who will trade these things for a gift, for food, drink, clothes, or anything like this." And these things were communicated to him in mystery, and at once the Savior disappeared. Then John went to the other disciples and reported what the Savior told him. I'm going to repeat what just the words that he said. Hmm. I am the abundance of light. I am the remembrance of fullness. I am light dwelling in light. I am the remembrance of forethought. I am the forethought of pure light. I am the thought of the Virgin Spirit who rises you to a place of honor. Arise, remember that you have heard and traced your root, which is I, the compassionate. Guard yourself against the angels of misery, the demons of chaos, and all who entrap you. And beware of deep sleep and the trap in the bowels of the underworld. Beautiful, luminous ones, you shiny, shiny, lovely stars, you SUNs, the root of you is not the fire, but yet the flame. It has been distorted, it has been controlled and manipulated. Know thyself. Know that's thyself. Be the remembrance of fullness. I am as you are. You are as I am. We are twins. I know myself. I know the all. So therefore, so do you. I love you all so much. Keep shining. Have a great weekend. Enjoy, enjoy, do, enjoy. Yes, beloveds. Keep on shining, folks. Bye, guys.